Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping by at 10:50 a.m. on your radio dial. I am Dr. Sharon Barnes, and I will be your host for the International Wealth Builders radio show for the next hour here on KCAA and all your favorite streaming channels. I am the CEO and founder of ADU Advantage, where we provide customized consulting services to help your dream of building an ADU a reality. And today we're going to talk about planning, building, and financing your ADU with Meredith Storer. She is awesome. She's one of the forerunners in the industry. She's a go-to person for everyone dealing with ADUs, the background in the law, how to get it financed, tricks and tips to, make it more economical. And so it is really an honor to have you here, Meredith. Thank you so much for taking the time out your day to join us.
Thanks, Sharon. You're super kind to have me. It's good to talk with you as always.
Oh, yes. So Meredith is currently heading the ADU team over at Cross Country Mortgage. They deal with helping families buy, build, renovate, and refinance property and add ADUs. I mean, she, like I said, has a lot of information from your planning all the way through getting it financed. It takes a team to make an ADU a reality, whether it's a simple garage conversion or a 1,200 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2 bath in your backyard. You're going to need a team. You're going to need knowledge and resources. And Meredith is one of the ones that we really honor and look to in the industry. And today, Meredith, we're just going to jump right in and start with the big elephant in the room. With the interest rates have gone up, people are taking out their crystal balls, they're going up again, they're going to go down. And it's had the effect that it was intended to kind of slow the market down. From the traditional real estate side, I mean, we went from having a listing on the market for 48 hours to now we're 48 days, beautiful homes, and we can't figure why they're not moving, except when we look at the interest rates and we look at the payments that a lot of people are just out the market. But once you get past that, we have people who still are able to move forward with their real estate goals, especially in the areas of ADUs, but they're cautious about the interest rates and whether they should wait. And so we're really interested in seeing what advice you can give us today about that elephant in the room. Did it kill our ADU project, or should we be forging on?
Great question. And my short answer to that is forge ahead for two reasons. Number one, yeah, interest rates went up, but rents went up even higher. So usually, as you know, Sharon, this is a very collaborative process. So we tend to get people pre-approved just as they're getting started, but oftentimes we don't do the loans until they're closer to the time of construction, which is 6 to 8 months later. And that timeline is super important for two reasons. One, Fannie Mae is predicting that this time next year we'll be back at 4.3%. The Chicago Fed governor, Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're all a lot of good folks, smart folks are saying we've overdone it. And we're crashing towards recession. And recession is great for mortgage rates. Remember, after the 2008 crash, rates didn't go up; they went down.
Right.
And so we're expecting 4.3. So by the time you are done with designs and permits, which take 2 to 3 months, and then permits are going to be 4 to 6 months, rates should be back down again. But number two, even with rates today, rents are higher. So the folks I got pre-approved 6 months ago, they're going, oh my gosh, the rates are terrible. But look at the rents. And what we're finding is rents are cash flowing even at the higher payment prices, $200 more a month on average. So, and because rents are going up almost 50% in a lot of areas. So check out that rental cash flow. That's really what you're looking at for. And if you're wondering what the question is on cost, consider this. At today's rates, for every 100,000 you spend on construction, it's about $650 a month. So
Right.
move the decimal point, every 10,000 is $65 a month. When rates are down to 4.3%, it'll be about $500 a month. So really,
You're
it's just
still ahead of the game.
that's
Right.
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 That's right.
So I want to
Um,
back up and slow up just a little bit because in
yeah.
talking with homeowners, especially that's looking to build ADU, the first question and what they push on, how much is it going to cost? And try to explain to them that we need to go and design, get on paper what you're looking for. Okay, get on paper what what the concept is that you're going to get approved, and then we can give you an estimate. But it's not till down the line when you really can get
Hmm.
those permits or get very close to getting permitted that anyone can come in and actually price out the ADU. So can you talk a little bit, just a little bit about how important this is? We're not buying, like a car off the lot. We're building
Right.
it from ground up, generally.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's where the financing pre approval is one of the very first things they do. I've seen too many clients design these champagne castles only to later find out they're qualified for a beer budget. So the first step you want to do is one of the first steps you want to do is a financing pre-approval, and that is in collaboration with working with you, Sharon, because you're the one on the property going, well, we could do this, this, this. And then it's that collaboration between what can we afford versus what can we do. And so that's really important. And even in most cases, we don't do the loan until much later. But that, and then the cool part is once you know your numbers, as things progress, changes happen, we eliminate this, oh, there's this surprise, the numbers roll with you. So
Right.
you're 100% confident moving forward. That's very important.
Exactly. And with all the changes that's been going on, not only with the interest rate, but the cost of goods and the supply chain and so forth, what is the like reserve? So if I have a budget and let's just say $200,000 or whatever, then should we have 20% in reserve for because it might go up 20, or what are you recommending for that range, that buffer?
So this actually Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have a great guideline that has come in very handy since lumber prices started going up last summer, or the summer before last, and that is a 10% reserve. So if your construction budget is 200,000, you want to make sure you have $20,000 in reserves because of cost overruns or contingencies. You can always pay that back to the mortgage or do whatever. But if you don't have those contingencies, there's a lot of risks. The
Right.
um, the great black hole of lending is a half finished construction product. No
Right.
bank wants to touch that. So make
Exactly.
sure you got your whole money ready to go.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And you know what we're coming across in a lot of situations, especially out in the Inland Empire where my base is that a lot of people are building the ADUs for family, for either adult kids or parents. And my advice usually, I mean, you need to charge them rent. And it's not that you're being
Yes.
hard, but it's like if they're on Social Security and they can't just collect money in the bank, they have to pay somebody. So even if they pay you, rent, mom's paying you rent money, doesn't mean that you can't use that money to help her live a better life, take care, bring in nurses, housekeepers, whatever you do with the money, but you need to kind of charge. And I've had people who tell me that for the adult kids, they're going to charge them some rent and everything. So they will basically be the saving account for the adult child. So when you get enough, you can go buy a place and let's do it again. You build another ADU and have some rental income. But I guess the basic course I want to get to and discuss just a little bit from your viewpoint is when people are building for family and we're calculating the dollar, sometimes a lot of times they're building from this the position that they're just going to take on that debt. So how do you kind of walk through that with them that is still worth it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the short answer is you're giving your child a gonga deal. If you build a $200,000 ADU, that's $990 a month, right?
Yeah,
Where else are they going to rent for that?
exactly.
So, I think it's really important for parents to have boundaries with their kids, and adult kids need to contribute to the family. They need to understand that you are not an ATM. And one of the things that we actually do with multi generational families is we can title it as you go in on the loan together, but you title it tenants in common. And that allows for junior to technically own the ADU, and mom and dad continue to own all of the land and the primary house. When they pass away, then they can give out equal shares of the land and the house, but junior still controls the ADU. And so the other siblings are allowed to benefit fairly.
Right,
Junior is paying his share and frankly feels like an adult. That is
right,
a rite of passage, and
right,
I would charge a little more and create a savings account for them, that kind of thing. Um, I think and same thing with parents. Again,
right.
there's no way they're going to get a better deal. One of
Exactly.
the things you can do with parents, elderly parents, is if they are on Medi-Cal, and you can get on Medi-Cal if you have assets less than 300,000, you can get that qualified for in-home support services, IHSS.
Right.
And a lot of my families are doing that because they're getting paid by the state to take care of their parents, and that
Exactly.
often covers the cost of ADUs.
Yeah, and that would be great, and it still allows for that independence and so forth. Because even though they might need a little care, they might not need,
Tons.
that constant. But I think during COVID, when the facilities got shut down and you couldn't really check on your loved ones, or even if it was short-term rehab, that now I'd rather my mother be in my backyard and me be in control and see nurses coming and going and
Yep,
have access than to have her somewhere else. And it'll be cheaper, and it's creating a better living environment for her, and maybe some generational wealth along the way for the grandkids, which she would greatly appreciate contributing to. So that's awesome.
I
That's
love that.
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was going to recommend food for thought. If you're building a multi generational ADU, go big. My husband and I have 6 kids. The youngest is 16, and I swear it was a blink from when she was a baby. And now we've got all these wives, and we're looking at the prospect of grandkids, and we're scrambling to build additional space on our property because we miss our kids. We
Yeah.
want those grandbabies.
Yeah.
So, rather than build a little single bedroom for the college kid, before you know it, he's going to have a wife and kids. So build
Yes.
big.
That's a great food for thought as well. So, and it does take the property value up, and there are so many
Hmm.
benefits to having the ADU completed. So this was awesome. We're gonna have to take a little break here, but I hope that you stay with us. We're gonna come back and talk to Meredith some more. Our next segment, we're gonna be talking about that $40,000 ADU grant, what it can be used for, how to access it. Meredith is definitely on the brink of that one, and she's going to give us some tips. And so stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show on KCAA Radio. We're here with Meredith Stoller from Cross Country Mortgage. We're talking all about ADUs. Hope you were here in our last session when we talked about the impact of the interest rates on the ADU, on your ADU projects. And the bottom line is that it shouldn't stop you. Continue to move forward. Rents are outpacing the interest rate, and whether you're building it for a loved one or for rental income, we should still be forging ahead with completing our ADU projects. So, this segment, we're going to talk to Meredith about the $40,000 ADU grant. I'm going to leave it open. I know that there's been a lot of buzz about it. Everybody's talking about it. I know right now the portal is still closed, but we're just interested in seeing what advice you have to us to get in line and what it can help us with.
Yeah, so and I appreciate that. So I am so proud of this ADU grant. My partners over at HPP Cares and I put this together after the first phase of the CalHava grant really wasn't working. As I understand it, only 25 people in the entire state were approved by all those
Wow.
lenders, which frankly makes me very frustrated. So we pitched this to CalHAF as an alternative, and in the first 6 weeks, we had 1,500 people lined up to be approved.
Wow.
The other lenders screamed bloody murder that we were hogging the grants. CalHAFA slowed it to a pace, so that's why they've closed the portal. Fortunately, HPP Cares, of course, passed an audit with flying colors.
Great.
So they're getting ready to open it back up. There's been discussion about opening it up on Saturday, the 22nd, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I do have a back end to the portal, and we are continuing to get people approved and so on. The first step, what everybody's got to understand is you've got to have proof that you can afford to pay for construction, right? Because they don't
Right.
want to be giving out this grant if you can't actually afford to build it. So either a cash or a loan pre-approval of any type of loan. Some of these lenders are claiming that you can only do a cash out. That's baloney. Any
Okay.
type of loan will suffice as long as you can prove it that you've got it and that you can afford to build. If you
Okay.
don't build, you owe that money back. So it behooves you to figure that out anyway. Um, I mean, the grant really is as good as it seems. There's no lien on the property. You do not have to pay it back so long as you do build the ADU. The major qualifications um, are that you've got to fit within the income limits, number one, and number two, which are quite high, and
Yes.
we've gotten some exceptions. And then number two, it's got to be an owner-occupied house, meaning you've got to live somewhere on the property. You can live in the ADU, you can live in the primary house, whatever. Or a family member. Like if you're moving grandma into an ADU on your rental property, that counts.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yeah,
I
it does.
wasn't aware of that.
We've gotten some exceptions for that.
Okay.
So you can also, they've changed the rule now where you're allowed to do this on multifamily properties.
Okay.
You're allowed to build more than one ADU, but you only get one grant, no more than 40,000.
Okay.
But it is an incentive from the state to do this. There's probably about 1,000 spots left for this year, which is fine. We've only got a couple months left anyway, and the state has set aside 50 million for next year,
Okay.
which is super exciting.
That 50 million are at what, another 1,200 though, right?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I think more than that. But
Okay.
what's even more exciting to me, actually, and yes, it's great. People are getting a free 40,000. But really, what that money is paying for is it's paying the local governments, for stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing anyway.
Right.
So the cool part is the state legislature has passed 6 new bills that are saying to the local permits departments, no kidding, we really do want these approved in 60 days or less.
Oh, wow.
Figure your stuff
Yeah.
out
Right.
because and imagine this concept. My medium-sized builders, small builders, even KB homes, those kind of things, they can take a floor plan on a custom house, and it takes 3 years and about $100,000 to get that approved in California.
Wow.
They can walk across the border to Arizona or Nevada, have a conversation over the counter, and for $2,500 that same day get that same exact plan approved.
Wow.
Yes. So there is too much going on with these city permit departments. The state knows it, and they're trying to force that question. So if you don't have all this time being wasted on permits, and if you don't have all this money being wasted on fees, you don't need that grant, right?
Right.
And that's ultimately what the goal is of this legislation.
Okay, for us to get in a process where our system is working so well that we don't really need to subsidize um, people's ADUs. But for right now, it's
Right,
there.
right.
Okay. And so talk a little bit about what that covers. I know it covers the soft costs, which includes the drawings to permit the first steps that we talked about that a person needs to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then how we're trying to get that grant administered a little bit faster so it wouldn't be a reimbursable situation, but be available for them to move forward.
Yeah, ideally what we're doing, and in some cases we are achieving that, where you get the loan approved first, we send in the pre-approval letter or get them started on the loan process, and they go ahead and fund the grant. Especially with the home equity lines of credit, that's really the way to go, because then you get the home equity line of credit funded, but you don't touch it for months and months,
Right.
because you're going to use the grant for the designs and the grant for the permits. The grant basically covers anything that doesn't include materials or physical labor, because there's a prevailing wage issue there. So it will cover things like soils tests, utility costs, fees. It covers school impact fees, all kinds of variety of things. And I just had a client that got a $37,000 check from it. And actually what happened is they will not, and there's some discussion. Remember, this, for all practical purposes, this is a new program. So they're still working kinks out, policies out, and so on. So the question of reimbursement has been a big one. CalHFA staff will not let HPP Cares directly reimburse somebody. But what you can do is have your contractor bill them for everything, and then they get paid, and they can either reimburse you or put the money toward construction.
Okay, sounds good. And I know that a couple of the clients that I'm working with, um, they have not been able to complete their ADU. Either, we get contractors disappearing. That's why we got certified professionals now to help them put that team together, or they, because of the lumber and the supply chain issues, it came over budget. But now, if it's not a completed ADU, they can still apply for the grant if they're bringing in the additional money to finish it. All right, we're going to take a short break here. I come back in a minute and continue to talk about the $40,000 ADU grant, and hopefully you can stick with us. Again, this is your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes, with the International Wealth Builders Radio Show, talking about planning, building, and financing your ADU. We'll be back momentarily and hope you can stick with us.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.wait/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 95137853316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. We're here with Meredith Stewart from Cross Country Mortgage talking about ADUs. And hopefully you've been with us during the early part of the hour where we talked about the impact of interest rates on ADUs. We talked about the $40,000 grant that's available to help you build the ADUs and make your dream of having an ADU a reality. And now we're going to talk about how to leverage the ADU laws even further under SB 9. And Meredith is going to share some information with us. And Meredith, take it away.
Well, I am really excited. We've talked about SB 9 in the past, predominantly about splitting lots. But when you look at the larger picture of SB 9 and the SB 9 laws, the bottom line is it deregulates all housing and it allows any single family home to have up to 2 houses and 2 ADUs on it, whether or not it's owner occupied or an investment property. So in taking, I want you, and this is really important, to master plan your community because, or your property, because I am seeing clients looking at, for their retirement or whatever, they've got a house and they're planning to put an ADU right smack in the middle of that big backyard.
Right.
And I want you to think more strategically about what you're going to do, because the other thing too is that an SB 9 unit is the same thing as a duplex, which is really exciting for mortgage purposes. So there's a difference, even if an ADU and an SB 9 unit look and feel exactly alike, just by the fact that on paper they are zoned differently, I have to treat them differently as in the mortgage way. With an SB 9 unit, first of all, permit-wise, there's no limits on size, and the only difference is you have to add fire sprinklers, which, by the way, cheapens your insurance. So a couple bucks on insurance. But on the mortgage side, you get dollar for dollar square foot appraisal, full gross living area on your SB 9 unit.
Okay.
With ADUs, you generally do not. Now, our bank has worked only with specially trained appraisers trained by the Appraisal Institute. So we do get 75% at least of future value on the ADUs, but I'd rather get 100% of value, right? That can be $100,000 difference.
Right.
So the appraisal values and the fact that we're allowed to factor in rental income on the SB 9 units makes financing SB 9 units even easier than ADUs.
So you can, so Meredith, you can get the count the rental income from day one on the SB 9, not have to wait 24 months like on ADUs?
That's right.
Okay.
And in many loan types, you can never count rental income on ADUs. Fannie Mae is a classic one. So only Freddie Mac right now allows us to factor in rental income only after the ADU is built. Now, there's some non-QM loans and a whole bunch of other stuff which are allowing ADU rental income. Um, but but the larger question of SB9 units is just sheer cash flow. If you take a single family home lot that's got a decent sized backyard, let's say you build, a let's say a 3 bedroom unit, that's probably about $1,732 per month, but it's $4,000 in rent.
Wow.
And then let's say you build, 2 junior ADUs. Maybe you convert the garage. That's $866 per month, and that's $2,400 in rent, maybe 22. That's potential monthly cash flow of 5,366 a month. A month. That's
Great.
incredible cash flow.
Yes, that's a great
So
investment.
yeah, and so looking at your yard from a strategic level, even if you're having your own kids live in there, and you're like the Kennedys, right? You create the family compound, right,
Right.
in Cape Cod, and have all these wonderful units, and the grandkids are playing in the central courtyard and whatever. That is far more cost effective to do as multiple units.
That sounds great. Now, when we look at the lot and like you say, planning out the community, um, I understand that we can build the second unit as, say, like an ADU with the potential lot split, or do we have to?
No, you
No.
do not have to split the lot to build um, those units. However, you can, for any single family home, just to repeat, you can have 2 houses and 2 ADUs on a single family zoned lot. Now, if your lot is big enough, yeah, you can split that lot and add another house on each one, and have 2 ADUs on each one. So you
Mhm.
can continue, and a lot of these aren't going to be our usual California one-story ranches. You're going to start to see people go up. That is ultimately where we are all going. So I think that makes a lot of sense in thinking about master planning, especially in the Inland Empire, where you've
Yes.
got a lot of former agriculture lots and things like that.
We have a lot of
Splitting them.
Yeah, we have a lot of deep lots. We have the rectangular that's almost 200 square feet long.
Yep.
And they're looking at the back. Now, when they put that ADU in initially, the further back we put it on the lot, sometimes the more trenching to tap into sewer, more expensive for the utilities. But if we're planning a master community, that still would be a cost that's worth taking, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Would you see on trenching on that, Sharon? Maybe 10, 20,000.
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
you have to go almost 50 to 70 feet if we have to go from the curve back, to the
Okay.
ADU, if we're going to leave enough room in between the existing house and the secondary house.
Okay. So 10, 20,000. That's $100 a month, right? So let's go back to my numbers. At today's interest rates, it's 650,000 for every 100,000 you spend, or for every 10,000 you spend, it's $65 a month. This time next year, it'll be $495. So let's have a nice round of $50 for every 100, for every 10,000. That's a gonga,
Yeah,
and your renters are going to pay for all that.
that's true. Yeah, and that's why we can't just settle with the simple math, because again, people talk, they want to know how much it costs, and they're looking at it as debt and not going through these calculations to see that in the end, your tenants are going to be paying, and we want to be the landlords and not the tenants. This is what we're trying to do.
That's definitely true. Definitely true. So cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
but super important to master plan and think about what SB9 can do for you, not just, and you may not want to build now. That's okay. You may not want to build ever, but your kids might want to build. So where you be strategic about where you build that ADU on a lot.
And let's go back to clarification. You were saying that you do not have to split the lot on the SB9 and still get 4 or more units?
Yep, you
Okay.
can get up to 4 units,
Okay.
the 2 houses,
Okay.
unlimited size, and 2 ADUs, which size are limited. Now, ultimately, the federal guidelines are tricky, and I got to walk you through that. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I think what the feds are going to settle on, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all those guys, Fannie Mae sets the tone for the rest of the lending world. I think they're going to settle on 4 units, period. 4 units, 1 to 4 units is residential lending. Above that is
Exactly.
commercial,
Exactly.
regardless of what you call it, what you call
Okay.
that unit.
Okay. And since you mentioned commercial and 5 and above, we do know that the ADU laws do apply to multifamily. Is it still, but they're taking like maybe 4 units and they can add a fifth unit or 25% of a multifamily. Are you seeing any of that, or can you talk about how the ADUs
I
are
am.
applying to the multifamily?
Yeah. So basically, for every 2 units you have, whether it's every 2 units you have, you can basically add one additional ADU. Sometimes in some places, it's unit for unit. So I've seen a fourplex be turned into an eightplex because they've converted the garages downstairs.
Okay.
Absolutely. Generally speaking, this is where it gets to be a gray area as to whether it's residential or commercial, because a lot of my investor loans can cover that. You don't have to go commercial, but to be honest, the commercial rates, lending is, even while the rates are a tad bit higher for sure, it's still worth it because the
Yeah.
rent cash flow is unbelievable.
Exactly. And I know some in the Inland Empire have had some clients that have taken the multifamily and they've converted the washrooms. They've put some of
Hmm.
the renovated apartments have stackable washer and dryers in them. So they have taken away the washroom and converted those into living spaces, into ADUs, or like you say, garages. Now that we really, in a lot of places, don't have to replace the parking, they've taken those garages and turned them into ADUs. So if you have a fiveplex and you have a couple garages that's not used or whatever, you could actually turn them into 2 additional spaces and turn it, like you said, into a 7 unit or higher, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's pretty, but when you start strategically thinking ahead and master planning your properties, that's where it really makes sense.
Okay. And when we were
And
talking, yeah,
by the way, I want to add, college areas are a particularly fantastic place to live because college areas, and by the way, there's a lot of pivoting as a whole to renting out individual rooms, not just on furnished finders, but also Zillow. I'm seeing a lot of people pivoting to what I'm calling medium term rentals of individual rooms. Those individual rooms are renting up to, in San Diego, they're renting up to $1,800 a month
wow.
in areas in Riverside. What are you seeing? Like 1,200, $1,000 a month?
Yeah, if they're closer to the college, this depends. And if they're
Yeah.
short terms, yeah, we're doing that.
So
But
so
but
I have
generally
some.
like 800,
Yeah.
800 average for a room, but that's on the standard house that hasn't been modified. But when we're talking to some of the homeowners, we do talk about the amenities outside and laying the yard out. Some people are putting in pools, they're putting in the fire pits. I mean, if you're making it like a small resort, you can get greater rent if we go beyond just the living area, but also the common areas outside.
But for the kids, I'm seeing a lot of people building 1,200 square foot ADUs, and they're fitting 5 to 6 micro rooms in with one bathroom and a kitchen in
Wow.
order to cash cow that thing. But the kids, I mean, they don't really care, you know.
Right, right,
So
right.
they get some privacy, and they get, it's better than living in a dorm with
Yeah,
in the same room.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and then what we're saying, like you said, you're talking about thinking bigger, and that's something that I think we all have to kind of go back to the drawing board and look at, because what I am seeing though is that 749 square feet. When we get under 750, we avoid the impact fees, and then we squeeze at least 2 bedrooms in that. Usually, the nice rectangular design fits in the Inland Empire with the room on each side, the open area, which is conducive for college living as well as senior. And if you need a caregiver or something like that, so the two bedrooms,
Yeah.
two bath with the privacy separation between the bedrooms are what we're
Hmm.
seeing, especially breaking, with avoiding the impact fees. Because had like one client, he was set on doing 1,000 square feet, and they were, just for him and his wife, and they were saying, well, even at the counter, I went to the city, and they said, I remember him. We were trying to talk him into 749, and he's stuck on like 1,000, but that's what's going to cost him over $15,000 in impact fees. So, which can
Yeah.
be substantial to the homeowner. So, even like you said, if we can't go for the 1,200 square feet, the 750 can definitely, and you probably can get, if you want micro rooms, you probably could get 3 or 4 in there if it's for college. But I guess we have
Yeah.
to be like we
Right.
have to be like the commercial things when they go for the offices, right? Build up a wall, take down a wall, have four
Yeah.
living
If you're
rooms.
working the TIs, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm
Yes.
and I'm a huge believer in those ADU one bedroom duplexes. I mean,
Yeah.
those are cash cows.
Yeah.
Rather than as opposed to a two bedroom. A lot of times the one bedroom duplexes will cash flow more than if you didn't have a wall between those two units.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you just got to look at what your local situation is.
Yep, and your budget. So, Meredith, thank you so much. We're going to take a final break here. We will be back with Meredith to do the wrap up to see what other gold nuggets she wants to leave with us before we end the show. We've talked about the interest rates, the ADU grant, the SB9 possibilities, multifamily. This has been so informative, and I'm sure people have benefited from it. So stay with us for the last segment so you can find out how to reach myself and Meredith, so we can help make your ADU project a reality. We'll be back momentarily.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. Today, talking with Meredith Store about ADUs, and we've gotten a wealth of knowledge. Hopefully, you've been able to stay with us during the entire hour. You can find us on kcaaradio.com, Roku TV, your favorite streaming platform. So you can go back and listen and take notes and tell others, and get the contact information for us. So we're going to wrap up here in our final segment, but we've been talking about ADUs, and we want to just touch touch a little bit on what types of ADUs you can have, because in our conversation it's kind of lent towards stick bill, but the ADU laws allow for modular homes as well as manufactured homes. And there's a lot of technological innovations going with 3D printing and reusable energy, recycle products being used for housing. And so we just want to get Meredith to touch on that a little bit about where she sees us going technologically and broadening our options for creating living units here in California.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this point because it's all this massive movement toward construction has begged the question, why do we use wood, right? Why do we use concrete necessarily, or as opposed to more technologically advanced materials? This is when you talk about HUD manufactured homes, this is not your grandfather's mobile home. And if you don't believe me, man, go see them because they are mind blowing. A lot of this new technology, whether it's HUD manufactured homes, prefab, modular, panelized modular, is better engineered, stronger in earthquakes, fireproof. There's one product out there that's 500 degrees fireproof.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah, and that same product is 60% recycled. And so I'm finding because they are so beautifully designed, they appraise the same as stick build. And it's really kind of personal choice about how you want to build and what you want it to look like. You certainly have fewer choices in terms of designs when you have a manufactured home or prefab, but so what? They're designed so beautifully that I mean, you're not making stupid mistakes, and because you think you have to have your design, to be able to take something, even some of the panelized modulars, they can build those products in 4 days on your
Wow.
site.
Yeah.
You know,
And the
so
panelized, when you say panelized modular, I mean they're actually building to the standard building codes, but bringing in
mhm,
walls at a time so they can be delivered like a flat pack and not need a
yeah,
crane to get them to the backyard and that type of thing, right?
it's it's amazing. They get national certifications,
Mm,
and then so it's just a ministerial approval from local housing permits. They physically walk entire walls onto the property and
wow.
then just connect them. It's amazing to watch. Sometimes they are lifted up and over, but usually just walked on. And yeah, I mean, I've seen some products that can be built in even one day. Some of the 3D printers say they can build in one day. And that, I believe, as a whole, is going to be the future of U.S. housing. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of stick build in the future. I think a ton of product is going to be built in factories, even if it is technically stick built, and walked onto properties and put together.
Yeah, I think that I can see that as well. Some of the modulars, regarding the crane, we've seen crane incidents, and then I did have one person that actually had like a almost a half an acre of land, but where they wanted to position the ADU, being on a major street and so forth, they could not get the modular on the property, and so they had to go back, to considering stick build when they were willing to go to modular. But I think that the options of the manufacturers, the flat packs, that we just don't know enough about them. Have you seen how the cities are reacting to this? I mean, it's new. We're having enough trouble with stick build and garage conversions. Now we're telling them to accept 3D printing. How are the local agencies and cities responding to that, or is it still a little bit in the future that they're not dealing with it yet?
No, they are. I think that they really like them because it really is some beautiful design. I'm seeing it go very well, and by law, it is faster approvals on the local city side. But if you haven't, one of the great things, if you ever go down to the Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico, the wine country,
Hmm.
go to the five-star New York Times rated Hotel Encuentro.
Hmm.
That is built with one of the killer panelized modulars. What's exciting is the houses aren't built on slab foundations. They are built against a hillside on posts that are augured into the ground, deep into the
Wow.
ground.
Wow.
So they physically go up against the landscaping. Some of them are built into the rocks
Wow.
without changing the landscaping. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, that sounds
So,
awesome. And is that, from a lender standpoint, is that considered real estate or personal property? Is it's on the
no, that
pillars?
is
It's
real
real
estate.
estate. The
That's
the
a
pillars,
foundation.
that's a permanent foundation. Okay,
Yep.
that's great to
You
know.
do not have to have cement slabs anymore. So,
Wow.
and and you could use those pillars, by the way, for parking underneath.
Wow.
So this whole new technology movement really opens up the use of space and design, and I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've heard you mention that you said that they want to use the ADU law basic strategy to almost double our housing inventory across the country. Is that correct?
That is correct. The White House announced this spring they intend to double. Sandra Thompson said she intends to double the housing stock on both coasts through ADUs. The White House made an announcement that they intend in the next 5 years to build 1.5 million units, of which 1 million of those units are ADUs.
Wow.
So they're trying, and California, watch for particularly 6 new bills coming out that is really sticking it to the local permit departments. It is very exciting to see what's happening.
That is awesome, and I know we have a severe housing shortage. And as I talk to people and make presentations, I'm always saying it's almost like it's like all hands on deck. That the big boys can't build us out of this. The custom homes, like you said, you take a vacant lot trying to put a home on it, it still has that old process and impact fees and everything. And so really with the homeowners, this is an opportunity to get on the new wave. This is our bottled water chance. This is our this is our Amazon stock. This is to
Yep.
take advantage on what's coming. Don't wait till everybody has already got their stakes in it, and you don't get the lion's share of the benefits. So Meredith, thank you again for joining me today. It's been an awesome privilege to talk to you. I've learned so much as usual, as all of our conversations. And so you just tell the audience how they can contact you if they want to move forward and need your assistance in getting financed.
Absolutely. My recommendation is go to aduloans.net. All my contact information, you can book a consultation with me for free, and we'll go over your personal situation.
I appreciate that, Meredith. I am Dr. Sharon Barnes, and you can find me online on Facebook under ADU Advantage, LinkedIn, Instagram, Dr. Sharon Barnes Real Estate.com. And I am here to serve you, to help you walk through the process. There's a lot of moving parts. You need a team, and we want to get you from dream to reality, not running out of funds halfway through, 80%, and to help you help the family and the community. It's all hands on deck. Do not miss this wave. Thank you. Next month, I will be back talking to one of our local contractors who built more than 20 ADUs in the Inland Empire to get his intake on how he can help us build more and how you can better plan your compound. So thank you for sticking with us. See you next month.
You're listening to the Inland Talk Express, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
Marketing, sales, success, finance. If you can name it, we can find a way to integrate it.
All right, I like that. Let's get an opening statement from Sylvia